Well, tell you what, it's getting colder, certainly less hours of light, and I haven't even got near the silver birches. It's been a funny old year. We've got this one with the incredible gouged out bit that I sorted there. We've got my big Yamadori, but you know what? If you want to hear more about this and also that massive Yamadori birch stump that I got off Ryan of Autumnal Bonsai, keep on watching. You want to know everything about silver birch and what to do in autumn. Hey, you're going to find out. Be patient, it's going to be worth it. Hi, it's Xavier, welcome to my bonsai retreat, and do you know what? Big apologies. A load of you are probably waiting for part 2 of the Jason Bonsai Garden special. We're going to talk about AI, we're going to talk about little hints, we're going to show grafting, different experiments. There's loads of things still to come, but you know what? I noticed that I've got a few trees that I need to do, and let's be honest, I am a bonsai channel.
Is that what you tell yourself?
So let's crack on and have a look at the silver birch, which for anyone who knows the UK is a bit of a speciality. We like our silver birches. They can be a bit of a pain, branches die, and sometimes you just have a year where you just don't quite get the growth you expected. We're going to have a look at 3, 4, 5 of my silver birches and have a look, 1, what we're going to do in autumn, and 2, give you an idea of what's gone on before with a few of them and what's going to go ahead in the future for 2025. So should we crack on with this one first? Now, this silver birch was dug up in 2015 from a commercial dig zone. In fact, rather than me going over it again, why don't you have a look in the description? There should be a link to the playlist that features this silver birch and probably a couple of others. But where are we now with it? Because, truthfully, I don't think really it's appeared much in 2024, and there's a good reason. It got repotted at the beginning of the year. But I find with all my trees, you know, I expect after a repot maybe we'll get a load of flush of growth and lots of ramification building. But truthfully, I find that actually they normally take a deep sigh and go, thanks for the new pot, but I've got to find out where to pack my socks, where I'm going to put my trousers, where I'm going to put my cooking utensils. In other words, the trees often get a bit reflective and think, let's conserve, let's get ourselves bedded in, and maybe the following year we'll start flushing out new growth. What are we looking at in autumn? Well, first of all, we're looking at the roots. We're looking to see if we've got any scraggly end roots that have popped up above the surface. We're looking around areas on the base of the trunk. Got some wire in there. Is there any bite or anything? Is the tree held firmly in? And do you know what? That's in nice and firm. I probably don't need that at all. Any moss that we want to be pulling away? Anything that as the weather gets colder, lots of moisture, rain, that may actually lead to a degradation in the trunk itself or to the surface roots. So I'm going to be going around clearing all those. Where I've got roots that have poked up, like this one, I'll just come along. Got the choice, do I bury it again? Well, I'll have a look at it and see the end. The end's dead, so that's probably been uncovered for a little while. So we'll remove it. So we'll go around and do all that. I've got my trusty toothbrush. Did my teeth earlier, so now it's safe to get in there and just making sure, well, we all know this, we want to get the moss and stuff off that trunk. We do not want it rotting or causing any issues inside the bark. And straight away, as I just push away, I've discovered that in there it's actually starting to hollow out. And you know, for a bonsai enthusiast, that's not a good sign. That means that that root itself, which is quite a major root for the tree, is starting to rot. Really what I want to do is dry that out, which in the depths of autumn is not so great, so I'll probably put it somewhere with a little bit of cover. What I can do is just whack on some putty. And it's certainly not the perfect solution, but right now when you discover something like this, you want to try and at least curb the damage. I'm very aware that there is a risk that there may actually be damp and moisture beneath the putty that I've put there, and rot may continue. But what I've done in this short term is at least put a cover over it, so it's going to reduce or limit the potential for rotting there. Certainly that is definitely something that, for those of you not aware, my bonsai database, almost like an app, I'm going to put a note of that on this silver birch tree. I'm going to put a reminder which will pop up in the sort of springtime. I'll put it for March, which will tell me to dig that back out and try and do some proper sealing work on it. So if you haven't heard about the bonsai app, again, link in the description. Loads of people out there are using it, and I think quite successfully. And best of all, I've got over 500 trees on it. And in the same vein, just going to go around the surface, just remove any old leaf matter. Have a look now and see if actually there's anything that may be concerning. Are there excessive roots lifting? We repotted it this year, so that's not going to be an issue. But I'm just checking to see if potentially we've got compaction of soil. Maybe there's a problem we haven't picked up on, but it's all looking pretty good. Getting into all the roots and crannies deep in the tree here. Just give it the best opportunity to get through the winter. Clear out the cobwebs. Having a look under here, have we got any bugs or anything potentially on the trunk or anything, again, that may harm your valuable bonsai that you've spent loads of hours, days, weeks, years even, looking after. And what I'm doing is basically saying, okay, let's set this up nicely for the spring. This tree right now is going into what I call its dormancy cycle. It's recognised that the daylight hours are reducing. It's now withdrawing, which is why you've got the yellow leaves, withdrawing all that energy, life-giving stuff into the actual core of the tree itself and into the roots. It's converting a lot of that water into sort of sugars and stuff, which I think freeze at a lower temperature, which makes it more winter hardy. That's about as technical as I'm going to get with that.
Well, that's a bit vague.
Working my way up, again, looking up the bark here, just having a look if there's any areas or anything that causes me issues, any wounds that have opened up, anything at all that may be an issue later. Now say now, this is going to get, at the end of this session, a spray with a Winterwash, and because we've got that craggy bark, we definitely want to be looking out and get in deep there for any potential eggs. I've got some suckers under here, we'll get rid of those. You all know that I've got to make a decision about this branch here, and indeed this branch here, and which one goes. And I'm very much inclined to think it's going to be this one. But again, I am still in the recovery phase for this tree. It's been through a lot, so right now, am I going to take any big branches off? No. I want this tree to have the absolute best opportunity for getting through the winter. And of all the sort of deciduous trees I find, silver birch can actually be that one, and I'm sure we've all heard it. They drop branches randomly. Well, no, it's not randomly. When the tree detects that it hasn't got the energy or the ability to supply all the foliage, it picks the weakest branch and says, hey mate, you're a goner.
It's a bit harsh.
And it then sends all the energy elsewhere and your branch dies off. So I'm not going to remove any big branches, but I am going to just remove the remainder of the leaves and start going and doing what I call my spring bud selection. You see me do it with the maples, the tridents, and I said in those videos that I apply the same principle to the majority of my deciduous. Could I do this work in spring? Of course I could. And you've heard me say many times, you know, I work on this principle of a 2 to 3 week window period after leaf drop. And basically what I'm looking at there is the tree still pulling energy back and is still setting the, whether it be the oxen, axons or whatever, the very chemically bits, setting next year's buds. So if I do some little pruning back to basically help the tree select the buds that I want, it still has time to set those as the new terminal buds that will trigger off in spring. I think that's how the science goes. Hey, if anyone knows the actual technical theory, write that down in the comments, because I'm sure there's loads of people who'd really like to know the technicality of it. So let's work our way around, and first of all, I know I've got some dead branches and some stubs. Let's remove those. And the first example is here, one of the lower branches off this stub. I really need to keep this alive because it's helping with the healing here, but this is healthy. We've got a nice ready glow on this one, and it looks like reasonable buds up there, and the spottiness that you see on a birch branch, which for me always indicates health. But here, that's looking decidedly unhealthy. So what I've done is, if you're unsure, just cut the end off. and you see it's brown in there, and I just cut back until I think I get anything that's left. And actually what I've done is I've done a test on this one, and in there it's all brown, so I'll just cut that back. And you can see in there there's just the starts of green there, which is good because it tells me that the branch itself is still healthy up beyond here. So cut paste on there just to seal the wound from any risk of infection. We've got this lower branch here. Sometimes it can be really difficult to know whether you've got a live branch. Birches can often look dead when they're not. So I'm just going to cut the tip off. It's brown in there, keep going back. You'll often look at it, it can sometimes, when you're looking close, it almost looks like a dried prune, which means the moisture's been sucked out of it. So that's dead. The rest of this is all fine. I've got stub there, get rid of that, and here we go. 1, 2 buds. Because that way I'm going to get one from there and one from there. Beneath it, cut the stub back. Here we've got a side branch, we've got a bud here, a bud underneath it, and we've got this one here, which just here is a bud point just there and a big bud there. I'm actually going to take that terminal bud off, because what I want is either this one to happen, one from the base here, or one from there, because that one out there was too far away. If we look at this, we'll cut that stub off. We've got a bud there. There's also a bud right in there. So I've got that one, and I have to go all the way out to that one. If I allow that one to shoot out in spring, it's going to cross this branch. So I'm going to cut that one back. Follow this one along. We've got a bud there, a bud there. Same there. I actually want here that bud there. So I'm going to certainly cut that off. And having applied that principle here, I've done the same thing that I've applied to a lot of my deciduous. Prune back to 2 buds, with the knowledge that come the spring, that first flush is going to send out loads of energy in those first buds. Less so with the likes of these. They're alternating, so they'll both flush out. But really, what I'm going to be looking for is the buds further back, because they're the ones I'm going to want to be pruning for when we get into the May time, which is the post-flush hardened pruning. And as always, the way my approach is, I work from bottom to top on this for this sort of pruning. So we're going to come to this branch here, and I'm going to apply the same principle, following along, checking for dead zones first. And here again I can see I've got a bud there and a bud there, so I'm not going to want that. That's a dead stub. Probably it's looking as though it's dead there. Could I wire my birch now? And the answer is yes. Have I done that before? Yes. Has it caused major issues? No. So yep, crack on, and you want to wire, and that's fine. For me, in the bonsai retreat in Grantham, I'm nervous. It's like I am with my Japanese larch. It's not that you can't do it, I choose not to. I will wait until the spring, when I see which buds are starting to swell, and then I'll start looking, because I have wired in the past all the way out, and then find when I get to the spring that I've wired a load of branches that were never going to push in the first place. And there is also a small risk that over the winter, if we get a really cold snap, with the way the wire works and conductivity or something, there's a potential that it may lead to the branch dying as well. That's just based on what I've seen. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who'll say otherwise, but not a problem. That's how I'll do it. And just while we're talking about wire, if I was going to, we've got this branch that's coming out here with horizontal branches. They're all coming out horizontally, perfect for this tree. We look at this one here, and they're actually coming up vertically. Now, I don't really want to lose that, and it would be very easy for me to just put a little bit of wire and rotate it so it lays horizontally. I could do it now, but that's what I'm going to do probably in the spring, and then that'll give me the buds this way and fill out this as a pad. Okay, well, I've worked my way around there, cut things back. This branch, what I will say is here, which is where the hollow was. Again, there's a whole video on what I did that. It actually has been filled all the way down to about here with a pretty firm solid filler. And again, as I say, that's in the playlist if you want to see how I did that and what I did. So just cleaning there, just make sure we haven't got anything collecting. And do you know what? That's the best decision I made, filling that last year. Very, very happy. Someone up there has surely gone, Zav, I can see you've got wire on there. Are you going to take the wire off? Truth is, no. I wired this quite a few months ago. I did expect a little bit more growth. I've looked at it, hasn't swelled. It's actually placing the branches where I want them. So rather than actually take the wire off, I'm more than happy. In this instance, I'll leave them on there. Development plans, again, we're going to continue to let this grow out and hopefully it'll start that weeping process. We've got the apical region starting to go here, so we'll let these continue to bush out. There's quite a big scar up here that needs to be healed. With just one branch, that's going to take ages. So it may well be that if I get another bud coming out somewhere here, that would be lovely, just to come out. But a scar like that will take a long time to heal. And again, that's the result of all the dieback that happened a couple of years ago. This branch is slowly regrowing, but I need this to put on a lot. So really, am I doing much pruning on that right now? No. There are areas that I really do want it to just go wild. So that's really all I'm going to do for that. And as I said to you, at the end of this, I've got my winter wash. So I'm going to get right in there and really give it a good... And it's this craggy bark that I really, really want to make sure. Apart from that, what will happen with this? Probably it's going to sit on the benches quite happily right through the winter. If I have concern there's going to be a really big cold snap, I'll put it down on the ground and I'll bunch it up with loads of other trees. But there's more about that in my seasonal guides, which again, the playlist is in the description, or indeed the autumnal one you should be watching just up there now. And then we look to this one, and this one I actually really, really like. It's been developing slowly, like a lot of my birches, but it's now starting to get some nice ramification up here. I have to do exactly the same thing we've just seen with the bigger one. There's a lot more of that horrible green liverwort growing here. What's that a warning sign for me? Probably that the soil is too damp in here. So I'm going to put a note down to get this one repotted next year. Clearly, it's not draining through as much as I want it to. Because what I don't want is root rot. And say, you see liverwort, that's what you start thinking, especially as we're moving in towards the later part of autumn, early winter. The dead wooding that I did with super glue, that was an interesting experiment. Not sure I'd do it again because it ends up staining it white. But the big problem with this one is there's the main trunk, and then we've basically got two little branches coming from the back, almost like little arms waving in the air. Could actually make a good end, probably. What I do look to do is look for opportunities where I can take great lengths away, because here there's a great length and the next bud's up there, so all of this area here is wasted. But if you get in close, you can see there's a bud down there which would come out nicely. There's a bud there, and a bud up there. This is an ideal opportunity to bring it right back in, and I leave a little bit of a stub and I'll put a little bit of stuff on top. So I'm looking at ideally getting something from either here or these ones to grow out. And often where you've got great big lengths here where there's nothing, you're looking for just a little area back here and say, do you know what, let's see if we can encourage it to bud back. Any opportunity to bring it back and get stuff closer in. So I'll go around and keep touching all these up and finish doing exactly that all the way around. And you know, you'll have often seen when people do their pruning back, by the time you see the tree again, it's like half the size, and you wondered how on earth did they get to that point. And it's just because they're paying close attention to where your buds are in a lot lower down a branch. Who says the birds aren't trained in the bonsai retreat? Lovely. I think it's a red breast or a brown breast, But either way, the cheeky little blighter was definitely looking around for worms or ways to uproot my bonsai, which is just another reason why these little friendly pesky things love to upturn our bonsai. So we do need to wire them or put them in with stones. And of course you'll all be aware that Tony, God rest his soul, passed on quite a number of trees to me, which I've been looking after under the Tony's Bonsai Special. I'll say now, in 2025, I'll probably do a one-off special edition, but otherwise we're going to see them as I do the species. So here we've got his one of the silver birches that got separated from a forest group. Lovely amount of movement, and all I'm really going to do here is, I mean, look at this. This could potentially be, imagine that, the rest of this tree going up there. I want this to continue to grow in strength, so I don't need to do a massive amount of pruning, but where I've got some clear things I don't want, I'm not sure whether I'm going to want this here, but maybe let's just cut it back there. This branch here, 1, 2 buds, 3 buds, we'll do that. In fact, no, we won't. We'll do what I always do, back to 2. Here, closer in, we've got a bud right in close in, couple here, so we'll go back to there. Will I want this? Or will I want this? It's really hard to know. Potentially I see that as being the tree going off that way, so I probably don't want much more than that. I don't even know whether I want that actually. It just doesn't look right. And we'll have a couple up here. We'll leave it like that. These could end up getting wired. Very, very upright. Not sure about that. And as I say, there's absolutely loads and loads of movement. It's going to be wonderful. Whether I take that as the main and end up losing that, or indeed whether I have this coming up and then having branches coming off the side, may well be that gets removed. At the moment, what I want to do for this for spring next year is limit the places that this is going to send buds out from, that's going to expend the energy, so that lots of energy goes into these ones here, because this needs to at least get twice, if not 3 times the thickness that it currently is, to look like a reasonable proportional branch to that trunk thickness. And I'm going to be trying to heal this as well, so I'll be cutting back that a little bit further. These may weak down or they may disappear entirely, but that's really all that needs to be done with there. Remove stuff from the soil, and as always, get in there and give it a nice good winter wash. So I hope you've enjoyed me mucking about with silver birch. All of them have got quite a way to go yet, but they're fun trees to work with, and if they do die back on you, if they're healthy roots, you will always get loads of stuff from the suckers, from the base. There's always a way forward, so don't give up on your silver birch. And while I'm saying that, hopefully right now you're actually seeing the autumn colours of the big Yamadori birch that have still got a lot of work to do, has still got a lot of building, and will actually be the subject of probably 2 years in the life of a recovery video, rather than showing it through 2024, where it's been quite slow, not a lot to show. Anyway, I think that's pretty birch-tastic. If you want to see a really, really good video about the tree that you've just been seeing, getting it out of really claggy soil, working out that you've got to have really top quality soil for it to develop roots, then that's the video for you. Otherwise, keep smiling. Happy bonsai, God bless. Cheers.